this one.
Where were they? Hey, were they in water or were they on the bed?
They were laying right there.
Let's check their eyes. Check their eyes.
She put it down for a nap a while ago.
Check their eyes.
They were laying there.
It's okay, it's okay. It's okay, you're okay, you're okay. No, it's okay.
No.
These were the distressing moments at a crime scene where a mother had brutally taken the lives of her own children. But when the first responders arrived, they had no idea about the house of horrors that awaited them.
Holy shit. There's 3 of them.
Oh my God, my babies. My
got a
beautiful
supervisor right
babies.
here.
Look at my
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
beautiful
Okay?
babies.
I have to get babies right here. Please hurry. Please hurry. Yes. Oh my God, they're dead. I'm down for a nap. They've been dead for a while. Because they're stiff. Oh my God. I'm on the phone with my mom right now. I'm going to take it right now. She just... Oh my God.
Ma'am,
Oh my God.
officer's coming out to you, but I need some information. Are you out of business?
Yes, it's my neighborhood. I'm on the home on the property. There's a mobile home on the property.
Okay.
Oh my God.
It began with a frantic 911 call from Perla Reboledo Velasco in South Phoenix. She was sobbing, saying the kids wouldn't wake up. When police arrived at the small trailer, they had no idea they were walking into a nightmare.
Where were they?
They were taking it down right here. Oh my God.
This is 28 total.
Yeah, the cops are here.
I know, it's okay. It's okay.
Were they on the bed?
They were laying there.
It's okay, it's okay. It's okay, you're okay. You're okay. No, it's okay.
Please, no.
You can see.
Baby.
Okay, hey, I know. Let's go outside. They keep on coming back inside.
Responding officers reached the house within minutes. The scene was spiraling fast, completely out of control. The entire street was flooded with paramedics, ambulances, and squad cars. The chaos was overwhelming. At the scene, cops found 3 adults. They began questioning the woman they first encountered at the scene.
Rachel, is it R-A-C-H-E-L?
She was 22-year-old, the mother of all 3 children. Officers found her on the floor, trembling, barely able to speak.
And this is where you live. And what's your last name? Henry. H-E-N-R-Y?
Yes.
All right.
Soon after, they came face to face with a father right there at the scene, watching it all unfold.
We're going to go to the front of the house, Kay? Let's go over here real quick, Kay. I'll talk to you over there. You all right? Let's go. We got to go over here this way.
His name was Pedro, the children's father. He looked stunned, barely able to process what was happening.
Were you inside at all?
Me?
Yeah.
Earlier.
Before this went down?
I was sleeping, yeah.
Lastly, they spoke to the woman who had made the 911 call, Perla Reboledo, the father's aunt. She was pacing, shaking, her voice uneven as she tried to explain what happened.
Pull him down to help give him CPR. He was stiff. They were dead. There was no CPR going to save them. And so I got up, and Rachel was screaming over the baby, and I said, "Give her CPR, Rachel." And I came outside, and I came all the way over here to the shop. And I said, and Cesar was like, "What happened?" And Oliver, they were like, "What happened?" I said, "The babies are dead, baby." He said, "What?" That I went back inside the house, obviously tried to give more CPR, but it's
okay. It's okay.
Inside the trailer, another team of officers worked to secure the scene, while paramedics fought desperately to revive the children. 3 small children were lying motionless on the couch. The paramedic team started CPR right away. They followed every procedure, checking pulses, trying to resuscitate, but nothing was working. The kids weren't responding, and by then, the silence had already started to speak louder than anything else in the room. 3-year-old Zane, Maria, who had only just turned 1, and baby Catalia, barely 7 months old, were all found dead. The paramedics confirmed it at the scene. All 3 children were gone, and their bodies were sent for autopsy. But something was definitely not right. 3 young kids don't just stop breathing in their own home. Someone had to know why. And soon, what started as a tragic discovery turned into a deeply disturbing investigation. With 3 kids declared dead and no signs of foul play from the outside, the next question was obvious. What exactly happened inside that house? Officers needed answers, and they began by speaking to the adults at the scene, Rachel, Perla, and Pedro. First, they pulled Rachel aside.
I'm so sorry.
We went to WIC today to try and because they were sick. And we were trying to get an appointment, and I told her so many times, please take me to the doctor, please take me to the doctor, and she wouldn't. And I've been giving them some ibuprofen because they're sick and they have cranky, they're not feeling good, and the baby's teething and they have fevers and everything, and she still wouldn't take them to the doctor. She never wanted to take me to the doctor.
I need you to stay out here with me. I need you to stay out here with me, okay?
No.
Yep, I need you to stay, okay? Just have a seat for me.
Please, no, my baby. She kept telling me to clean the house. Everyone wanted me to clean the house. I was cleaning the house. I did laundry. I was cleaning it. I thought they were sleeping. And they fell asleep watching a movie. And Dad came home and he was laying on the couch. And I told him to watch him. He's been laying on the couch since he got home. And then we went to go get pizza. That's what I thought. And then I went to check on him and his mother again. Oh.
No, I need you to stay right
I told him to check on them. I told him to check on them. Please go.
Rachel began to talk, but her thoughts were scattered. She told the officers that the kids hadn't been feeling well. They had fevers, the baby was teething, and none of them were eating properly. She said she kept asking to take them to the doctor, but no one helped. So according to her, she stayed back, gave the kids some ibuprofen, and tried to manage things at home. Later, Pedro, the father of the children, came home. Rachel said she asked him to watch the kids while she stepped out briefly. But when she returned, they were still lying there, just like before. At first, she thought they were still asleep. But then Pedro took a closer look. He was the one who realized something was wrong, that the kids weren't breathing.
Were they both inside the house the entire time?
No, I think just him.
Just Pedro?
Right, I think.
And
She
they
said
ride
they went to
together?
go to WIC.
Their last trip, they went to Domino's to pick up pizza.
And Pedro's the only one here.
Pedro was here.
Okay.
Then they came back and Pedro was freaking out.
So they show up. He's flipping out. Haven't called 911 yet. They get here.
Yeah.
And they call.
According to witnesses, Rachel and the aunt had left to get food. During that time, Pedro had stayed behind inside the trailer. When they came back, he was panicking, screaming for help, yelling that the babies weren't breathing. He hadn't called 911. It was the aunt who eventually picked up the phone and made the call. So now the focus turned to Pedro. He was the only adult inside the house while the children slept, and the cops needed to hear his side of the story. Because if Rachel was telling the truth, then Pedro might be the last person to see those kids alive.
Are you the father, sir? Yeah. To all 3? Pedro? Your middle name is... Okay. How long have you lived here?
8 months.
Who owns...
It might be close to a year.
Who owns the house?
5.
So you just rent it or you stay here?
Catalina is your only daughter, right?
Catalina? You only have one child? 3? But the one's Rios and the other 2 are Henry?
Okay, copy that. We'll leave it at Jeremy.
What do you do there? Just a landscaper?
Yes.
Were you inside at all?
Me?
Yeah.
Earlier,
Before this went down?
I was sleeping, yeah.
Sleeping? Where at?
On the couch.
I got it. Thanks, though.
So, mom, aunt, dad on the other side, and the son also.
Pedro spoke briefly with the officers and shared what he remembered. He said Rachel and the aunt had gone out to grab some pizza. He stayed behind with the kids, who were lying on the couch asleep. After a while, he noticed something didn't feel right. The kids weren't moving at all. He said he tried to wake them, but they didn't respond. That's when he ran outside and called for help. Pedro didn't say much. His answers were short, and he seemed unsure. But something about the situation didn't feel right to the officers. And now both Pedro and Rachel were giving the same story, almost like they had rehearsed it. After speaking with Rachel and Pedro, the parents and only Perla Reboledo Velasco remained. When the police moved to question her about her knowledge of the events, she confirmed the same timeline that the parents had laid out to the officers.
So what time did you come back?
I just went to go pick up my nephew, but he came home on his own.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what time did you just get back?
Me and her just got back. We went. Me and Rachel, I ordered a pizza. I ordered a pizza.
But Okay, you and Rachel came back.
I ordered a pizza and I told her,
But
come
you
on.
guys
Because
left the kids, or was there anybody here?
Yes, it was their dad. Their dad was on. Look, their dad was on the phone with his other son.
Where's the dad?
Is he? He's not in the room. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure this out. You know, I'm just trying to get some type of.
He was freaking out. I don't know.
I'm trying to keep your.
He didn't do anything. The kids have been asleep since when he got. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Since before he got home from work, they were asleep when he got home, and he was asleep on the couch as well.
Okay.
As Aunt Perla asked for updates about the children, she began to break down as the reality and sheer horror of the situation began to sink in.
Please tell me, you guys. No, you know what? They're dead.
I don't know anything.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
All I did was go inside and I just
They
tried to
were
get
stiff. They've been dead for a while. All three of them. What the hell did she have given them? No, they. No. But I went to grab them. They tried to give them the boy, and he was just stiff there. He'd been there for a minute. Been there for a minute. But, oh my God.
So
I just told her.
So when was the last time you actually checked on him?
I was in my room. Look, I haven't checked on them because they were right there in the living room.
Oh.
They're right there in the living room on the couch. That's where they sleep. That's where the kids sleep, in the living room.
Right.
It's a small trailer. My room. I sleep with my husband in my room.
Mm-hmm.
The kids are in the living room, the kitchen, and over there in that front bedroom. That's their area.
Okay.
Oh my God! When I pulled on them, they were stiff. The only one. They were stiff. They had been there for a while. She didn't. They were sleeping. They didn't. They were. You know what I mean? And I told her, you know what, Rachel? Why you? I said, the kids have been taking, that's too long of a nap. They're going to be up all night. You're not going to be able to get no sleep.
I mean, I know that age, they still sleep a lot, you know, like 16, 18 hours, you know, and all that. But yeah, you got to wake them up so that they're not up all night keeping you up.
Exactly. That's what the dad was doing. That's what the dad, when he checked on him, he was going to wake him up.
Do you know what time you went to Domino's?
I mean.
Did you guys walk by the kids? Everything was fine?
Look, I walked by them, but they were, no, I didn't walk by. When I walked by the kids, when I left, they were over here on the couch sleeping. She puts them there, covers them up, and they're asleep. And baby, I didn't see the baby.
Okay.
I didn't see the baby. Why didn't I?
Even though her timeline matched with what Rachel and Pedro had told the police, officers asked her to reiterate what had happened when she and Rachel returned to the house. Completely unable to hold back her tears, she went through the sequence of events.
And then Pedro said, like, what? Tia.
Tia, the baby's not breathing. And I go, what? And I go, met him. And I pulled her in. I had the baby, and I said, Rachel, give her CPR. And then I grabbed her in. I brought her down to the ground. And I stood above her chest, and she had wiped something down.
Perla paused, trying to collect herself, as if she were weighing whether to give the officers some important information. Then she dropped a bombshell.
You know what? The girl is weird.
Who? Rachel?
But this was just the beginning. Before the officers could question her further, Aunt Perla began to detail why she found Rachel's behavior strange.
You know what? She gives me too much medicine. She's always bringing me medicine. Always bringing medicine. Always.
You know what kind of medicine?
Just all that medicine in the drawer. All the medicine in the drawer.
The officers' ears were on high alert immediately. Not only was Aunt Perla pointing the finger of suspicion directly at Rachel, but the mention of the medication clearly indicated the manner in which she believed Rachel had taken their lives. Immediately, the officer moved to question her further about the medicines and what they may have been.
Are they under any type of medication? Are they on any type of medication? Asthma? Anything?
The babies?
Yeah.
Just what she gives them. She probably gave them some medicine to go to sleep. If I know her, like
medicine as in like what? Like
I don't know, maybe Tylenol. I don't know.
NyQuil?
No, NyQuil.
I don't know.
She gives them baby Tylenol.
Baby Tylenol?
In that drawer, she got all kinds of medicine.
After learning what the medicines Rachel often gave the children were, the officers were unsure whether these had been used to take their lives. The dosage required would have been very high, and they were sure there would have been more signs evident if this had been the case. The initial report from the paramedics also stated that it was unlikely the victims had died due to overdose. It seemed more and more likely that the medicine Rachel had given the children was just to help them sleep. However, with the aunt accusing her and the police noticing some oddities in her behavior, the officers began to focus on her as their main suspect. If Rachel had indeed committed this horrific act, the officers would need to find out what her motive could be. The horrific nature of the killings had shaken even the most seasoned of the first responders, who couldn't believe the inhumanity of what they'd witnessed.
What were your observations of those kids? Do you remember?
If I can remember, because I probably stepped maybe 3 feet into the residence. I look over to the left and I saw them both on the ground. 2-year-old was laying down, I guess anatomically.
Okay.
And her head was, I guess, towards the east.
Okay.
The baby was next to her, turned around with the head towards her feet.
Okay.
And the legs towards her head.
Okay.
And I believe they were wearing pajamas, and face was white, body was normal colored.
Other first responders also recalled the visceral and jarring impact the incident had on them and the hopelessness they'd felt at the scene when they were unable to help any of the victims.
The 3-year-old was on the bed. The 2-year-old was on the floor with her feet facing us as we were walking toward her, and the 7-month-old was facing paramedic Glover. Okay. And paramedic Glover just shook his head, telling us, no, they're done. And we went over to the girl, and she had that posture with her arms up in the air, her mouth open, her eyes wide open. Okay. And we just kind of looked at her like, okay. And then our paramedic Zyders came up, and we were getting ready to do stuff. And then finally, they're like, none of them were alive. Okay. I did touch the little girl on her shoulder just to see if it was real. It just almost didn't seem real, dude. It almost seems like something from a TV show.
It is, yeah. The first few times you see it, it's, yeah.
I mean, it just seemed so out there, and I just kind of touched her on her shoulder, and she was out of it. I mean, obviously she was out of it, but she kind of felt a little hard, And I mean, these babies, these kids to be deceased the way they were, they look like they've been dead for
gone a while.
Yeah, dude, like maybe, I don't know, I'm not an expert, I'm not a medic, I'm just a BLS guy, but they look like they were dead for probably 4 or 5 hours, dude, or so. I mean, at least 3 or 4, 3 to 5 hours. I mean, I'm not guessing, that's not my
No, gotcha. But yeah, the way it looked, or the rigidity, as compared to other things you've seen.
I mean, she,
yeah,
like that.
Solid and,
and I didn't even get to see them. I didn't even want to go to the boy. I have a 7-year-old. That is I have a 5-year-old niece who's always at our house. So it was probably my whole 14-year career working in front of fire department, the worst call I've ever been.
One firefighter later recalled that when they'd initially arrived at the scene, he'd immediately sensed something was off with Rachel's behavior.
The first thing I noticed was Mom.
Okay.
Mom was crying, talking to the officer. But Mom was not, her cry was a little different to me.
Okay.
Because she was crying, but then she would stop and she would talk normal, and then she would cry and talk normal. It wasn't a cry as a mother or a grandmother or anybody who's lost 3 kids, they would be crying from deep down in their soul, crying hysterically, possibly punching, yelling, crying. There was none of that.
Her reaction didn't seem appropriate for what you guys had been told. Okay.
Exactly. That's the first thing I noticed.
Okay.
With everything seemingly pointing at Rachel, the need to know her motive was growing by the minute. The officers, however, weren't ready to ask her directly just yet, as they didn't want to indicate to her that she was in their crosshairs. So instead, they decided to first speak to Aunt Perla and see what she had to say.
Listen, they were staying with me, and then I kicked them out. No, I didn't kick them out. They went to stay somewhere else because we had a bunch of problems. My nephew started a bunch of with my husband and me and all kinds of. Okay. So then they wouldn't let me see the kids for about 5 weeks. So then, and I kept going over there and calling, and she put the cops on me if I went to look for them again. So then one day she called me and said, "Come get the kids." They had no place to stay. They were in the street. Okay. And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, you know what? The kids can stay, but you can't." Okay. And so
why can't she stay? Is there a history?
They steal from me. They steal from me. They lie.
History of drugs? They
steal from me. They lie. It's just a bunch of bullshit.
But they're stealing from you. Why?
You know what I mean? She just takes little stuff. And
what's her last name?
Henry.
I think I've run into her before.
Yeah, you're probably down here. She was fighting. You dropped her off here one time. So, the police did. Because she was fighting with my nephew. Because I wouldn't let him stay at my house. But then it got really cold. And then it got...
Oh, yeah. It has been
got
cold,
really cold.
Right? And the babies.
And I couldn't... No, the babies. I had the babies here with me. And I let them come back and stay. And plus, I needed to go back to work. It's been weeks. It's been a month.
And it's been fine?
Yeah, everything's been fine. Everything's been fine.
Right away, she began to point out the issues she'd faced with Rachel in the past and how she'd kicked Rachel and Pedro out on multiple occasions. But according to Aunt Perla, she had always seen Rachel as a problem and had been worried something would go wrong long before it actually did.
And I told Pedro, I said, Pedro, the girl is weird. I'm gonna break up with her. We're gonna come home one day and find her drowning the kids in the tub. And I swear, oh my God.
Despite her instincts, she eventually allowed Rachel and Pedro to move back in, mainly out of concern for the children, but almost immediately, Rachel began to act unusually.
I can't explain. She's just
not normal.
She's the type of weird that gets on your nerves. It's like, what are you doing? Like, she's just be staring. I had made Rachel a plate, which I normally don't do because I think that's stupid and I have to cater to a grown woman. But she was in a weird mood, so I was like, here, Rachel, your plate's right there, eat. So I don't know, she was standing, like, did I do something wrong? She stopped eating. She was like this. And I was like, stop staring at her. You're making her nervous. Look, she stopped eating.
Even after confronting her, Rachel's behavior remained strange over the following weeks, as recently as the visit to Domino's right before the children had been discovered.
I said, come with me real quick so you can go inside and run inside and get this pizza for me. She's like, I'm like, I don't want to eat pizza. And I go, you just told her. Yeah. And I was like, I don't care if you eat it or not. I just want you to ride with me so you can get down, jump down and go in and get it. All you gotta do is take the $9, give him to him, tell him keep the change, go in, say pizza for Rachel, give him the $9, tell him keep the change and walk back out. That's all you gotta do, Rachel. Can you do me that favor? Yeah.
That's why I'm asking: is she on any type of medication? Has she been to UPC? For any type of psychological evaluation?
Her mother died last year. She's alone. They were homeless. Pedro. They've been having issues. Pedro. You know what? When I brought him from the park, she's been weird. She's just weird. I don't know.
Rachel's just weird. She's different.
She's weird.
While the aunt had no proof, she believed that Rachel had once again begun using drugs, and this was the reason behind her strange behavior. The cops, too, were inclined to believe this based on her actions at the crime scene. This statement is further supported by Rachel herself, who admitted to using drugs.
First it was weed, and then it was methamphetamine, and then I stopped, and I'm not doing it anymore. I don't want to be like no more ever again, ever. And I don't know. I want to be a better person, and I want to go back to school. I want to get a better job. I want better opportunities in life, and I never asked for any of the problems that I had because I was crazy and stupid. I just need that one opportunity that I kept praying for to change my life around and do right. And that's all I want.
What stood out was that Rachel seemed focused on herself, despite the fact that her 3 children had just died.
So anyways, then we ended up moving to Oklahoma, and because my dad ended up getting kidney failure, and he passed away when I was about 15, but then I was with my mom, and we've been in Oklahoma. My mom passed away last year from cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I moved out here for a new start, and I went to school before I came here, and I was pregnant with my baby. And I did CNA, home health aid, and CPR, and I came out here for job opportunities. Like my family was here. I just want to get better in my life. It's awful.
After this, Rachel was taken away from the crime scene to the station for an in-depth interrogation.
All right, Rachel. Detectives are going to go talk to you downtown instead of here because they're already down at their office.
Back at the station, Rachel started revealing the most horrifying part of the story. She told investigators how she'd been home alone with the children that evening. What began as another night quickly turned into something unthinkable. Rachel admitted she first went to her daughter, Mariah. The toddler had been playing, unaware of what was about to happen. Rachel said she placed her hands over Mariah's mouth and nose and held them there until she stopped moving. Then she carried her body into a bedroom and laid her down. But the horror didn't end there. Rachel said that Zane, her son, had witnessed what happened. He became upset and started hitting her, yelling, trying to protect his sister in the only way a small child could. She told police she'd led him into another room where she distracted him by singing lullabies. Once he'd calmed down, she did the same to him. By the time she got to her youngest, Catalea, the house had gone quiet. Rachel said she fed the baby a bottle, waited for her to fall asleep, and then took her life as well. After this brutal triple homicide, she arranged their lifeless bodies on the living room couch as if they'd simply drifted off for a peaceful nap. After this heartbreaking confession, Rachel was held in jail as she awaited trial. Her family was still in shock, mourning the loss of the 3 children. While Rachel was in jail, they had an emotional phone call with her.
Rachel, why did you do that? What happened?
I didn't know what was going on. I told you I felt like I was losing my mind because I didn't understand why you guys were, like, why everyone was acting the way they were. I was on drugs and I was freaking out. And I didn't know what to do, and I know I was scared.
Why didn't you say something, Rachel?
Because I tried to, and you guys kept telling me that I was crazy, and I didn't know what I was talking about. I was stupid, and I was crazy, and I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody.
Rachel.
You don't understand.
You were getting your ID. You were getting your ID to go to work. I was trying to help you. I was trying to get you happy and take you to work, take you to get your ID.
Yeah, but it was just the fact that I was always freaked out because, everyone kept acting weird whenever I tried to, talk to anybody. They said I was acting stupid and I was acting crazy and I didn't know what I was talking about, this and that and the other. Didn't know what was going on.
Oh my God. Rachel. No, who could have fathomed that Rachel? I don't understand. How you say you felt confused? That's how I feel now. I don't understand. How did you do this? Okay, one thing is that you need to go to sleep or you're whatever you're going through. I understand. Okay, maybe maybe we didn't pay enough attention to you. I don't know. I can't understand this. I can't fathom what you said. I can't understand. I can't understand it. I can't. It just don't pass through my mind. And I don't care about stuff or bad I'm feeling or whatever. That does not pass through my mind. And what you did would never pass through my mind. I've never expected you to do something like that, Rachel. What?
I didn't know. I didn't know it wasn't just that. I don't remember doing it because I don't know. It wasn't me. That's the point. I kept telling you that I felt like I was losing my mind. I didn't know what was going on. I tried to talk to somebody. They kept telling me I was stupid. I was crazy. I didn't know what I'm talking about. And every time I tried to talk to somebody other than that, you kept saying that I was making it all about me.
You're acting weird. Oh, I did. Yeah, you're right. I did. Rachel, I did. I tell you,
because I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody.
The children's father, Pedro, was devastated. What happened was impossible to forget. It was an image that would stay with him forever.
I can't get that image out of my head. The way I found her.
I can't look at the videos yet because it's hard. But one day I will.
I think time's going to be our best friend right now. It's going to take time.
Rachel Henry was arrested in January 2020 after confessing to the murders of her 3 children. She was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Initially, she pleaded not guilty. However, in late 2024, she changed her plea to guilty as part of a plea agreement. This deal removed the possibility of the death penalty. On February 14, 2025, Rachel Henry was formally sentenced in a Maricopa County courtroom. The judge gave her 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, 1 for each child she killed.
The court also finds that each victim deserves to be recognized as an individual victim, and consecutive counts are therefore warranted to consider the impact, obviously, on each victim from Ms. Henry's actions.
She did not make a lengthy statement during sentencing, nor did she offer any apology. The prosecution noted that the case had deeply affected everyone involved, including first responders and investigators.
Some of the personnel, the first responders, are still in therapy and have been affected by what happened, even though this was 5 years ago.
With the sentencing complete, Rachel Henry was transferred to prison, where she will spend the rest of her life.
Hi everyone, कैसे हैं आप लोग और क्या हो रहा है और क्या कर रहे हैं? बस यार मैंने कहा थोड़ा वो कर लूँ। मैं चेक करने जा रहा हूँ अपने सोलर पैनल को ये सही चल रहा है। धूप तो हो रही है लेकिन क्या करें, चेक तो करना पड़ता है धूप में भी। ये देखें, ये चल रहा है, ये चल रहा है, देख रहे हैं। ये इसकी सारी सेटिंग लगी हुई है। अब ये देख लेते हैं पानी। अरे मेरी तो देख है ना, हमारे तो देख है। ऊपर चलते हैं, ऊपर चलते हैं, देख के आते हैं ये कैसा कहानी हो रही है। ये देखें भाई, इधर से कचरा हट गया। ये देखें पैनल शैनल लगे हुए हैं। मैंने कहा पैनल शैनल लगवा लेते हैं। ये कोने वालों का घर है। अच्छा, ये पानी की टंकी है। बन रही है बिजली, बिजली बन रही है, बिजली बन रही है, बिजली बन रही है। बिजली बना रहे हैं, बिजली बन रही है, बिजली बन रही है। मेरे कपड़े सूख गए होंगे, कपड़े अपने सूख गए हैं तो इधर से उतारते हैं कपड़े। ओए कपड़े उतार रहा हूँ मैं। कपड़े उतार रहा हूँ।